Now we're on to Unit 4, which is equations of linear functions, and we're going to start with graphing. So 33 is in slope-intercept form, so remember that's y equals mx plus b. So this one gives us the slope right here, so this is m, and it gives us our y-intercept, which is b. So we can go ahead and fill these in. So our slope is what's in front of the x, so our slope here is -2. And our y-intercept is whatever is at the end here, so it's +5, which would mean it is a +5. So our y-intercept is 0, 5. So now to graph this, first thing I have to do is find my y-intercept, which is +5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's where I put my first point. Now my slope is -2, which is -2/1. That means I go down 2, right 1. So I just keep going down 2, right 1 until I fill up my whole graph. Or I go up 2, left 1. So as long as one of them is negative, you get the right answer. And once you have that, just connect to your line. And we have graphed it. Now one other thing it asks for is our x-intercept. So if we look where it hits the x-axis, right here, that's at 3. So our x-intercept would be 3, 0. So your intercept, one of the points is always a 0. 34, this one is in standard form, which is ax plus by equals c. And with standard form, we need to convert it into slope-intercept form. So we start with 5x plus 4y equals 16. And I need to get y by itself. So my first step is subtract the x. So I get 4y equals -5x plus 16. Then divide everything by 4. So we have y equals -5/4 x. 16 divided by 4 is +4. So this one asks for rate of change, which is the same thing as slope. So our rate of change here is -5/4. Then our y-intercept is whatever is right here. So that one would be 0, 4. So now we just graph this exactly like we did this last one. So our intercept is at 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Put our point. And our rate of change is -5/4, which means I go down 5. And then right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's where my next point goes. So down 5. Right 4. Or you can go up 5. Left 4. And once you have all the points on your graph, we just connect them. But this time it asks us for the 0. But if you remember from the definitions earlier, a 0 is the same thing as an x-intercept. So we just look, where does this one hit? The x-axis. And it is 3, 0. So 0 and x-intercept are the same thing. Rate of change and slope are the same thing. So that's graphing in slope-intercept and standard form. If we move down, we have some other examples. So our next form is 35, which is point-slope form. So point-slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So notice this equation has m in it. So whatever is right in front of your parentheses is your slope or rate of change. So our rate of change here is 1/2. Now this equation doesn't give us a y-intercept, but it does give us a point. So we have x minus x1 over here, which means our x value here has to be a negative 4. So it's always opposite of what it looks like. Then our y value is y minus 2, so this one has to be a positive 2. So we know it's going to go through this point right here with a slope of 1/2. So first let's graph this point, so negative 4, positive 2 for our y, so I put a point. Then my rate of change, or slope, is 1/2, so I go up 1, right 2. Or we go down 1, left 2. And once you have that, draw your line. Now if we look, it needs our y-intercept, so it's right here at the point 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So our y-intercept is 0, 4. And our x-intercept is negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So negative 8, 0 is the x-intercept. So from point-slope form, you get the slope, and then you find what point it gives you. This time it wants a line through this point with this slope of 3/2. So it's basically the same thing as 35, it just doesn't give us an equation. So our slope they gave to us is 3/2. We don't have our intercepts, so we have to graph this. So it goes through the point 4, 3, so that's where we're going to start. Then our slope is 1/2, so, not 1/2, 3/2. So I go up 3, right 2. Or down 3, left 2. And once you have that, we can make our line. So looking at our graph, our y-intercept is at 0, negative 3, and our x-intercept right here at 2, 0. Now on to 37 and 38. So these are ones that are a little special. So if we have y equals 3, there is no slope here. So this is the same thing as y equals 0x plus 3, which means we have a slope of 0. So slope is 0, and 0 slope was a horizontal line. So our trick that we learned, you draw two horizontal lines, they make a z for 0. So now this just means we need a horizontal line where y equals 3. So y is this axis, so I go up to where y equals 3, and I can put a point. Then all I have to do is draw a horizontal line at that point. So that is my graph for y equals 3. So my y-intercept here is 0, 3. But if we notice, this line never hits the x-axis, so my x-intercept, there is none. Now when we have x equals 3, this is not a horizontal line. This one is an undefined slope. Which is a vertical line. And the trick here, if you draw two vertical lines, you can make a U out of them for undefined. So our slope here, you just write undefined. But to graph it, we need to have a vertical line where x equals 3. So I go to where x would equal 3, and I put a point. Then I can just draw a vertical line down. So my x-intercept here is 3, 0. But it never hits the y-axis, so my y-intercept is none. And that is graphing.